Song-yu, a man who seems to have a good life. He's the father of two, a young boy and a teenage girl. He loves them so much, but he never has the time to spend with them. That's because he works as a bank manager, so he's busy all the time trying to make some good deals. Anyway, one day he decided to drive the kids to school instead of his wife. This was a very important day in his career, as he had a meeting with a VIP client. If everything went well, his life would change forever. On his way, he got a black call from a mysterious caller through a phone he found in his car, and it didn't belong to any of them. The caller told him that there is a bomb under his car seat, and if anyone exits the car, it will explode. Song-yu didn't believe it and thought it was a stupid joke, until he sensed the bomb with his hand and used his phone to get some pictures of it too. He was terrified and had no idea how to get his kids safe out of there without telling them what was happening. So he tried to reason with that caller on the phone to see who is he and what does he want. The caller asked for a ransom that was about $2 million. At that time, Song-yu arrived at his kids' school. He had no choice but to tell them about the call and the bomb to prevent them from getting out of the car. The caller threatened him that if he communicated with anyone or called the police by any chance, they would be exploded immediately. Then Song-yu received a call from his assistant. He told his assistant to go to the meeting instead of him to secure the deal, only to be surprised that his assistant received the same call as him and can't leave his car until he pays the money. So Song-yu went to him to discuss how can they get this amount of money. When he got there, he found his assistant struggling to convince his wife to stay in the car because she had an important meeting and she's not willing to miss it for a prank call. Song-yu tried to calm her down for a moment, then went to park his car to talk to them. However, the wife got out of the car and it exploded. Song-yu witnessed the whole explosion with his kids and they were totally panicking out. He was shocked and couldn't grieve the death of his friend because he had no time. He ran away from the scene before the police arrived. And the nightmare didn't end there. Due to the explosion, his kid had an injury in his leg and he was bleeding severely. Song-yu told his daughter to press on the wound to stop the bleeding. Then he tried to ask the caller to let him go to the hospital to save his son. Then he will give him everything he wants. The deal wasn't so tempting to the caller. He told him no one will leave until every single dollar is paid. And the price has changed. He has to pay around $4 million. That's because his dead friend can't pay him anymore. So he should pay him instead. Song-yu was mad and told him he doesn't have that amount of money. However, the caller told him that a man like him who's responsible for all the VIP clients can figure a way out. So Song-yu had no choice but to scam his clients. He called an employee under his team and told him to contact all their VIP clients and offer them a great deal if they invested their money with them. After that, the caller told him that he has to pay a certain amount in cash. To do that, he had to call his wife and tell her everything so she could help them. Song-yu didn't know how to tell his wife that he had a bomb in the car with their kids in it. He gathered up his courage and told her everything. Of course, she panicked and was about to call the police, but he warned her that she must not tell anyone about the plan. For the sake of her kids, she followed the plan and went to withdraw the money. And Song-yu was watching from a distance. Everything went perfectly fine, and she was one step away from leaving the money at the requested place. But her friend, who was just there to accompany her without knowing anything, felt suspicious and made someone follow her, and they managed to arrest the culprit. For a second, Song-yu thought they were finally free and safe, but they got the wrong man, and the caller got mad because they didn't follow the plan. So he caused an explosion near the wife. She almost died, but fortunately, she was okay. Then Song-yu knew he must get all the money immediately to protect his family. So he called the employee who was responsible for collecting investments, and he succeeded in getting most of the money. Song-yu sent it to the caller and asked him to let them go to the hospital because his son's injury must be treated immediately, as he couldn't feel his legs anymore. The caller refused, and Song-yu was begging him with all he got to save his son. At that time, the police were investigating the explosions that had been happening, and they found that Song-yu was there every time, so they went to arrest him. Song-yu didn't know what to do. He wanted to save his son, but he can't say anything or they will be exploded. He did what he can do best. He ran away from the police and was followed by them through a tough chase until he reached the beach. He had nowhere to go and was surrounded by police cars everywhere. A police officer came to Song-yu ordering him to surrender, but Song-yu said he can't leave the car and threatened that he will explode the car with his kids in it. Of course, he said that based on the caller's orders. The caller was trying to frame him as the one behind all of what happened. When the officer couldn't convince him, he left. And then, the team who are responsible for bomb disposal arrived. Another officer went to Song-yu and she tried to understand why is he doing all of that. He told her he can't leave and showed her secretly the phone call he was having. She understood the situation and gave Song-yu her device silently, and then she left to listen to the call. But the caller was too smart. He was watching the whole scene from afar. He sent a message to Song-yu to get rid of that device, and Song-yu had no other option but to do it. The officer knew something was wrong, so she cut the phone signal off the whole area and then went back to Song-yu. She told him that he's safe and he can speak. He told her everything, and she believed him. Then she started to search the car for bombs. She told Song-yu that his kids can leave as there are no bombs under their seats. They took the son first as he lost consciousness, so he was taken to the hospital. While the girl refused to leave her father, the officer tried to force her, but the girl saw snipers on the roof and knew that once she leaves, her father will be shot. So to protect her father, she jumped into the front seat beside her father, which activated the bomb. If any of them got out of the car, they're both dead. She told him that she will not leave without him. Song-yu was so scared for his daughter's life and told her that he's sorry for not spending enough time with them. She reassured him that they would get through this and asked him to go watch a movie together at the weekend, and he happily agreed. At that time, Song-yu's younger brother came and asked the police to let him talk to his brother. They confirmed his identity and agreed. The brother went to Song-yu, who knew from the first look that this was the caller. He got through the police without a single doubt. Song-yu got mad at him and threatened him that if they died, he would die with them. But since the caller didn't really fancy life that much, Song-yu begged him to at least let his daughter go. The caller agreed. He deactivated her bomb and she was able to leave. But not that fast. She was leaving, but with the caller. He told Song-yu that she's staying with him until he escapes from the police and gets the rest of the money. Then Song-yu, who ran out of options, escaped the police and was chased by their fire. And then the officer knew the real identity of the brother through Song-yu's wife, who told her that his real brother is in Nepal. So the officer went after Song-yu to save him. At that time, Song-yu tried to get money from anyone, but no one helped him. Even his boss refused to give him anything and told him that they will freeze all his accounts, and the bank is not responsible for all the actions made by him. He was left alone. The only one who stood by him was his wife. She sent the money to the caller, then Song-yu went to save his daughter. He was surprised when he got there because it reminded him of his past. It turned out that he and his assistant who died urged people to invest in foreign funds and told them it was safe with no risk, and when people lost all their money, they disappeared and abandoned them. As a reward, he was given the position of a bank manager, and his assistant was promoted too. Song-yu felt guilty, and when he saw his daughter, he tried to tell the caller that he didn't know that people would suffer. The caller told him that his wife committed suicide because of their loss, and she was pregnant, so he couldn't even see his child. Song-yu couldn't forgive himself because he remembered this particular woman asking for his help, but he left her with no hope. So he said sorry to his daughter and decided to take responsibility for his actions. And then, after his confession, the caller appeared in front of him. He asked the caller for another chance to correct things and to testify with them against the bank. The caller told him it was too late, and all that money he took from Song-yu was actually to all his scam victims, because after losing their money, they got another bank loan to file a lawsuit against the bank, but they lost, and many of them committed suicide. So Song-yu decided to die alone and told the caller to live and try to forgive him one day. The caller refused to ever forgive him and chose to die together as he had no reason to live anymore. To protect his daughter from the explosion, Song-yu drove the car and jumped into the sea. The caller lost consciousness. Song-yu tried to wake him up, but he couldn't. The bomb was seconds away from exploding. So Song-yu put something on his seat and got out of the car. After the explosion, the police finally arrived and they managed to save Song-yu, but the caller was dead. Song-yu felt so bad and decided to take responsibility and file a lawsuit and get compensation for all the victims who suffered because of him.